What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another amazingly awesome episode of the Ear Hustling Podcast. It is season 3, episode 23, Decision 2024. Try saying that 10 times fast. I welcome everybody to the show, here to talk about some things as friends, as colleagues, as Americans. How we doing, Prince? What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. Been a busy week, had a lot of stuff going on, and also, of course, with the election, that as well. So it's been a lot going on in the past week, but I am excited to talk about everything today to get some discourse going.
Sweet. J-Mo, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Nada. I'm gonna steal a phrase from who said it? I can't remember. I'm here so I don't get fined. Let's go.
Marshawn Lynch.
Boy.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, you know what? You're here, buddy. You're here.
I could not get Sean Alexander out of my head. I'm like, no, it was definitely not Sean Alexander.
That wasn't him.
That's an old school running back.
That wasn't him. So, and last but certainly not least, Soleil. How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm doing okay. I haven't been on the show in a minute, so it's great to be back.
Seriously, been off the rails without you.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't fall apart, y'all.
Well, there has been one segment that has been the rave of the show since you've been gone, and that obviously has been Patrick's perfect picks. But we'll allow you to rebuttal to that later.
Yeah.
Yo, Eric, I can't see your face, bud, but better late than never.
You know what? I hate to even make an excuse. I forgot about the time zone difference.
Okay, so you don't know where you are then? Is that clear? That's how that works.
I do know where I am. I forgot that there was a time zone difference, so I'm sorry.
Not that I want to see more of your face, but could you tilt up the screen possibly, maybe a little bit? I feel like you're going to have a neck and back problem.
Not to the side, yeah, straight up.
I'm already old.
Hey, buddy. Well, welcome everybody. To the conversation. I believe the structure kind of this show is going to be didn't he get fined by saying that? I think he did actually get fined for saying that.
Bye, Eric.
Nice having you, Eric. Thanks for coming. I think the idea of tonight's show is just to kind of keep an open forum, an opportunity for us all to kind of talk, listen, respond, react. However it is that we all want to express ourselves appropriately, in reaction to the 2024 election. I think that it is safe to say that according to all media outlets, they have projected that Donald Trump has won the presidency and will be the next 47th president or the president-elect. So, I don't know. Do we want to just kind of go real round table real quick, just general, real quick 30-second thoughts before I, get into some specific questions I have, Prince? 30-second reaction?
I would say my biggest takeaway was that this was the final decision that was made was obviously the decision of the majority, as it didn't come down to only the electoral college votes. He also won the majority vote as well. So I think the decision that most of the people in the country wanted to go with is what happened. So it was interesting to see. I read a fact it was actually the first Republican in 20 years to win the majority vote. So that was interesting.
Yeah. J-Mo, 30,000 feet, initial 30-second thoughts, shock, surprise, expected result. What are your initial reactions?
Last week's episode, I predicted he was going to win. I also predicted that we would know on election night the results, and I was 2 for 2.
Check the tape.
I'm not surprised. Not the result I wanted. As I indicated last week as well. But I'm not surprised. I'm just waiting for his party or his camp to say there was election fraud and we need to do some recounts or something like that. But this was the fair election. Ironic.
I hear that. Soleil, you were here first before Eric. Just me being the polite and gentleman man that I am, I want to give you the opportunity before Eric to speak. Your initial thoughts, 30,000 feet. Just again, reactions, surprise, shock, expectation.
Yeah, aren't you sweet? Yeah, shocked.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying.
Shocked, scared, devastated, hurt, scared, flummoxed, scared. Yeah, didn't go the way that I thought it would go. I thought it would be close, but I thought she would get the blue wall and went out. And so, yeah, I'm dealing with it like a lot of people are dealing right now.
Right. And again, I think it's important to remember that regardless of the 5 individuals on this show, there are millions and hundreds of millions of people that are affected, more so necessarily than just the 5 of us on this show. So I wanted to reiterate that to do. Eric, show up on time next time, and maybe you'll get to talk first.
I don't care about talking first.
All right, well, you get the last word, my friend. Initial 30,000 feet reaction, shock. Is it what you expected? Did it play out the way you thought? What do you think? Initial 30-second thought.
I did predict that Trump was going to win, even though he wasn't the person who I wanted to win. I thought that it would be a closer race, and I thought that it would take some time to count like all of the votes. I thought it was going to be more indicative of the polls that was showing that they were like razor thin margins. I wasn't expecting. The last time I checked, that Trump had close to over 71 million popular votes, I believe it was. To Kamala by close to 67 million. I didn't think that it was going to be that wide of a margin.
What do you think? And you said something that just caught my attention real quick. I just want to follow up. What do you think does that say about the polling system? Do you think it's a system that we should continue to use as far as expectations of how actual elections are going to follow through? I mean, the polls, like you said, I saw polls all over the place.
The big surprise, well, I mean, let's just be honest. It's like I think it was like 80 to like 82% of the registered Republicans that said they were going to support Trump actually voted, versus the close to the same number of Democrats that were registered to vote, that were, quote, polled, that were going to vote for Kamala. A lot of them didn't show up. And it was just, I mean, hey, they got out a pretty aggressive, get out and vote campaign, unlike the prior 2 elections. So I believe that did it, that they were more organized. I don't believe that it helped Kamala that she campaigned for roughly maybe 110 days at the most, versus all
107, I think.
Yeah, and it was an uphill battle. I mean, she fought a good fight. A lot of the people who I've been talking to over here, they kind of didn't vote for her because they thought that she was an extension of Joe Biden. To be frank with you, a lot of people were saying that if Joe just would have resigned and maybe she would have had a year in as president as an incumbent, she would have had the chance to put her stamp on what her plan was going to look like. But, she can say one thing, but then people look at the economy, for example, and they thinking like, this is a her and Joe situation.
Right.
In reality,
kind of like a package deal kind of thing. Yeah. Now go about the polls real quickly too, just getting back to what you just said. So you talked about, the polls. Were the polls accurate, or were the voter turnout accurate? James, you had something about polls. Do you think the result that you guys were maybe expecting didn't happen because the polls were inaccurate, or maybe the vote didn't show up? What do you think?
I think the polls are a tool. It gives an idea, but it doesn't give a great idea. There was a website I found about 2.5 weeks ago, and I wish I still had access to it. It had a bunch of polls on this one website, and it also showed how many people was polled in that poll. And the most I saw in one single poll was about 4,000 people. That's a drop in the bucket compared to the number of people that actually voted. So that's like, honestly, guess what? I put a poll out on a couple of sites asking who people thought they were going to win. 90% of the people said Kamala was going to win. So, I mean, that was no indication at all on what the results were. So I don't think the polls are really that great of a tool. The greatest tool that we do have, in my opinion, are the exit polls. The exit polls was honestly the very first exit poll that came out on CNN right around 7 p.m. last night. I think it was around 6 or 7. I can't remember. Those told me everything I needed to know. Immediately, I said to Shay, he's going to win. And the reason being is because the one thing that majority of Americans was upset about was the economy. They were the approval percentage was not high for Biden. And to Eric's point, Biden and Kamala was a package deal. It was unfortunate, but that's how Americans who actually voted on the exit poll, that's what they reported. So I feel the exit polls are a bigger tool for us and a better tool for us than the pre-election polls.
Yeah, and I think that makes total sense because, like you said, 4,000 people might seem like a lot, but it really isn't in the grand scheme of things. I could probably find 4,000 people to say just about anything that I wanted to, I suppose, to prove a point, I guess.
And you know what, real quick, Patrick, before you move on to Soleil, out of the four of us on, Princeton dropped off. Out of the four of us, who got polled? Did anyone get a phone call, a text message, anything like that? So I know we're just.
I got a lot of text messages.
A poll though.
Yeah, and asking who you're supporting. Yeah, I got a couple of text.
So okay, yes, but I mean, in our little pool, one person, 20%.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Oh, you did too. So
I just ignore those though. But
right, I ignored them too. I didn't do it either. But that's the point. Yeah, I did receive them.
And Derek, I'm not saying no one voted. I don't think anyone is saying no one voted. But I mean, the numbers are the numbers, and the number says Trump. I'm looking, and to Eric's point, Eric, you're spot on, man. Good job. Trump received as of right now 72.5 million votes, and Kamala 67.8. Kamala is what? I mean, Joe Biden received, I forget the exact number, but it was over 80 million votes 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think the margin was like 80,000 votes, though. I think the margin was of the popular vote that Biden won by, I believe.
It was 8 million. No, it was 8 million.
Was it 8? Was it 8 million?
Difference.
81. No, 7 million. He had 81. Trump had 74 million.
Okay, I don't know the exact figures.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. But when you guys get done, I'll give that exact number from 2020.
Yeah. So you had a couple of thoughts on polls and such, Soleil?
Yeah. Well, I just want to go back to something Eric said about Biden when he got elected before. Or in 2020, he said he was going to be a transitional president, and by him running again, I think, and his record and some of the negativity that comes with that, I think that's where the disconnect was. Had he not decided to run again, and Kamala was able to join right away, or even if they did a primary, then I think she would have did better. Regarding the polls, the final numbers is going to bear out that it's probably going to be around what the polls show. It's for like the major polls, it's been even, like 49-49 or 50-49, 50-48, along those lines. California still has a lot of votes coming in. So I think that's going to go Kamala's way. So I think there's, 72-67, that gap's going to close. And I think the final percentage is probably going to be about maybe 51-49 Trump popular vote.
Yeah. And I think I want to go back to, and I like the fact that we have some comments here. But I want to go back to the point too, what I think, Prince, you brought up the point too, that a Republican hasn't won the popular vote since 2004. I read that exact same fact.
Yeah.
That it's been 20 years since a Republican, won the popular vote as well as the electoral vote. Okay, so me, guys, I'm going to throw in one of those we're laughing type questions. Okay, so just kind of bear with me. So just all right, bear with me. So here's a we're laughing question. So do you we should, I'm going to go with Prince first, just because he might not hate me as much. Okay. So
That's funny. I definitely say I'm probably the most neutral person.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. So we're laughing. Prince, do you plan to follow the likes of Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah, Madonna, and several other Hollywood elites moving to Mexico, Canada, and other foreign countries?
Well, first of all, I don't have the money that they have in order to do that. So I couldn't do that if I wanted to. But no. Me personally, this is just how I feel. I don't feel this is the end of the world. I don't feel like the country is
not Chicken Little. The sky's not falling
because he's in office. So no, me personally, I'm not going to do that. I am interested to see what takes place. I'm praying and hoping that the climate doesn't go back to how it was in 2020 when he was in office the first time. And I'm hoping that it's a change. It's a change that this will be peace still going forward, and that some of the things he was talking about as far as improving the economy, that actually does happen. So I call me a glass half full kind of person. I'm optimistic, and I'm hoping everything actually works out for the better. So that's how I am personally.
And I'm not going to make everybody answer that question unless anybody else wants to or has plans to move. I mean, that was kind of just a joke. Everybody's still staying? Yeah.
I'm still staying. But I can tell you this: two things. So one, Trump has 4 years in office. I'll be frank with you. My concern, since Trump is an older person, if he passes away, J.D. Vance is the president, that is a major concern for me. That is a major concern for me, because he is a junior senator from Ohio. He's only been a senator for 2 years. That concerns me. I'm sorry.
Never mind.
Okay. Yeah. You got a little feedback, I think, Eric, coming from your mic. So if you would just mute just for 1 second. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Just real quick, I want to kind of get into a little bit more of a specific question that I have, and I think it's an important one. We talked about myself. I didn't predict this to happen, to be honest. I didn't know that it was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I read something today, or watched something today, as many of you guys know, and I'm not sure that anybody knows that's watching, but I do watch. I mean, the main TV obviously is what it is, and then I have CNN and MSNBC on the other side. So I do try to get a diverse influx of knowledge, and this was something that stuck out to me. It was one of them that said, it was either CNN or MSNBC had said that the Dems focused a little bit too much on abortion and not enough on the economy. And that came right from one of the other networks. So I was kind of curious about that. Do you think that maybe there was a secular focus that maybe hurt the Democratic Party, or do you think they were right on point, on message? It just didn't work out this time. So, you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think all of the issues in aggregate had an effect on the election. But regarding the economy, the stock market is the highest it's ever been. I know my 401k is doing really well. Unemployment is at its lowest. Inflation is going down. So I don't think that it's affecting people as much, or wasn't as big of an issue as some of the pundits would think. I would say misogyny was a big factor. White men and white women actually as well. And I love them both, love you people. But I think that there's a grievance towards maybe minorities, or towards affirmative action, towards LGBT, that became more of an issue. and so in aggregate, maybe economy second, third place, but grievances with um, some of the other minority groups, role as well.
Okay. James, question to you, and again, along the same lines. One of the major talking points of the Democratic ticket that I had seen was on women's rights. I mean, I'm not
Actually, hey,
saying right or wrong.
PP, Derek has a question. What issues affected any of y'all during Trump's first term?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I don't know you, Derek. I've been off the show for over a month now. So, to answer that question, for me, I am a trans woman. LGBT rights are critical for me. In Trump's first, I think, 100 days, he had anti-LGBT legislation passed. So, yeah, for me, that's a big issue. And so going forward, knowing what's in Project 2025, that affects people like me, my healthcare, my trans siblings, that's still an issue. And it's even scarier now that it's written in a book, that he's empowered to implement things that affects me and people that I love. Gay marriage. I was married before to a woman. Knowing that some of my same-sex married friends may be affected by that, not being able to adopt, not having their marriage recognized. Those are some serious concerns. So that's to answer your question, Derek.
I appreciate you sharing that, is what I was trying to say. James, I think you wanted to answer this question too. You had mentioned you had a couple of things.
Yeah. So, a couple of things. I'm going to try to make it brief, I promise. First off, back to 2020, Trump had 74.2 million votes. So about 2 million votes more than he received. I'm going to try this again, y'all. So in this year, he's at 72.5 million. In 2020, he had 74.2. So he had a little more votes in 2020 than he did this year. But on the Dem side, Biden had 81.2 million versus 67.8 million for Harris this year. So there's a huge drop off on the Dem side from 2020 to today. And of course, we're going to say, it was voter fraud, of course. But it sounds like you have something, Patrick. You're muted.
I think you're muted.
Of course I am. Thank you. Is that more about Trump overperforming or Harris underperforming? I'm just curious what your thought process are. Did more people, you think, show out for Trump, or did too few people show out for Harris?
Well, in my opinion, numbers are numbers. And numbers are fluid. You can learn a lot from numbers. It also doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell the mindset behind it. All I can say is Trump had, and I'm not doing the exact math, so I'm just doing a rough estimate. He had 1.7 million more votes last time than he had now. So 1.7 million better in 2020. So he had a drop off of 1.7 million. But the Dems had about 14 million drop off.
So in my
You're shaking your head. Go ahead, Prince.
I was just going to say, in my opinion, just looking at those numbers and just from taking an average climate of people I've talked to, I feel like this election, there was a lot more neutral people than the last election. The last election, I feel like you had a lot more people who were like, yeah, we can't have Trump back in office, as opposed to in this election, you had a lot more people who they just didn't necessarily care for either party. And I feel like that could have caused a lot of people not to come out and vote because they didn't feel too strongly either way. So that's just how I feel, in my opinion.
No, that makes sense. Soleil, go ahead. Or I want to second Soleil real quick because you were shaking your head.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
So I just want to address, and I left it up here for so long, so sorry. I was hoping Soleil had something to say on it. She did. I also want to address Derek's question as well. Derek, here's my concern, and it is what it is. I feel like, and I want to emphasize, I feel like, and I see you have some follow-up questions and some rebuttals to things that Soleil has said. I'm not quite sure if you're asking questions to, and if you want to come on, I don't want to have to address this with you just through text. If you want to come on, Patrick, and more than welcome to send you a link to have this conversation as well. But I feel your questions are more so to debunk and debate, not to be educated. If you're really asking us what are issues that we had during his first term, if you're trying to be educated, that's great. I'm more than welcome to have that conversation. But if you're looking to kind of poke holes and say, no, that's not true, as you were doing with Soleil's comment, then that's a different story. I kind of don't want to have that conversation. But I'm going to say something that I have an issue with in Trump's first term. And this is something that you will not be able to relate to. You just won't, and that's okay. Trump empowered people that is not for people that are different, minorities. He empowered, hang on. So here's your comment to, yes, I want to be educated, period. Anything I say or ask is educational, period. I respect both sides.
I feel like he's on the show tonight.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He hasn't talked to me this much in shoot, man.
So Trump, from my perspective, this cannot be proven and correct or incorrect. My perspective is he gave a voice to people. He gave a platform to people that have been kind of hidden for many years. We and I'm sorry to speak for the people of color on this show, and we've had side conversations, most of us, we feel like racism has always been around. Racism is probably never going to go away. It probably just isn't. Racism on all sides, not just white people not liking black people. I'm not saying that. All types of racism. It's never going to go away. But during Trump's presidency, it felt different. It felt totally different. And when you are a minority, and this is why, Derek, I say you can't relate to this. When you are a minority, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. We live in a high percentage Caucasian part of the country. County. All right, in Georgia. We live in the backwoods. It's nerve-wracking knowing that our son goes out, and I've had this conversation with Patrick, goes out and is around people who may not like him just simply because of the color of his skin. Something you can't exactly relate to, Derek. It just is what it is. That's something that we had to deal with during Trump's first presidency. People talk about the police, and they talk about how the police were killing people of color, and that was going on. That's a whole nother conversation. I can't prove that's because of Trump, but this is what I will say. There was a lot of people that were killing black people that were not police also. All right. That's a problem. And I really feel because he gave them a platform, because that was part of his core. Those people, I've said it before, not all Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Trump supporters. That's a problem for us. So I'm sorry to babble on, but I just wanted to address
this is your show too, buddy. This is your show too. You don't have to apologize for giving your opinions and your thoughts. That's never something that you need to apologize for.
So how does Pastor Sewell not feel that it's different? I have friends down here that are black, wear camel. And so once again, it's not for educational purpose, Derek. Thank you for your questions. I'll continue to put them up, but I won't address anymore.
All right. Okay, I got two left just for me real quickly. Actually, it's kind of 2.5. I just wanted to address something. I understand your point. I respect your point. Nobody really likes to be told they can't understand something because of the color of their skin. So that's I understand that that's tough for some people. I do want to point out that according to, again, a CNN poll that I saw, the black support for Trump went from 8% to 15%, which is almost double. So there's something that's happening within the black community that I can't understand. Again, I'm not saying that I can or anything. I'm just spitting and seeing what I've said from that. Okay. As far as,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Eric.
I want to circle back to that. I'm going to let you finish your point, but I've got some feedback on that. When you finish,
go for it, buddy. Yeah, no, absolutely, bud. Go.
All right. So when talking to the good pastor who was on last week, and I think that I might have talked to James about it, a lot of people in, well, the minority communities, not just blacks, feels that all of those trials and indictments that Trump went through, they kind of had a relation to him as far as being wrongfully accused of something. So Trump and hey, this was a smart move on his part. He fed into that. Like, see, if a rich, powerful guy who used to run the country in America was been wrongfully accused of something, I understand how you feel. I'm going to be an advocate for the people who have been wrongly accused. That was one, a very underappreciated angle, a very low-key angle that he played. Also, I read that the Robert Kennedy endorsement also helped him with the undecideds. The people who didn't like either candidate was like, well, if Kennedy endorsed him, and the Kennedy name carries a lot of weight in the Democratic Party, even though his family ripped him a new one for supporting Trump. I also understand that that's what moved the needle for him too. So like very, very late in the campaign, Kennedy started attending, the Trump rally, speaking at the Trump rally. So there was some, like I said, it was strategy. They were strategic about when they dropped those last minute bombs to kind of push the needle in his direction.
Yeah. No, listen, and that very well could be an explanation for, again, that person. Now, listen, even 15% is extremely low. I mean, let's be honest there. Let's talk about that. But you can't ignore the fact that you're talking about almost, doubling the percentage of an identity. And see, this is another thing too. I struggle with the whole identity politics things, breaking everybody down into 9,000 individual groups, and all of those people are supposed to vote that way. I struggle with that too. So, okay, real quick, and I'm just going to ask this question. Feel free to answer anything about the percentages or anything. Tim Walz, vice president. I just kind of want to talk about it. I heard some people talking on MSNBC and CNN as well today, kind of saying that they think that he may or may not have added anything significant to the ticket. I kind of want to hear your thoughts on if you think Tim Walz was the appropriate pick for Ms. Harris. Prince, what are your thoughts?
I don't have enough information about that topic. I don't know enough about him.
Okay,
so that's that. So yeah, I'll pass on that one.
Hey, go ahead, Soleil, please.
Yeah. So first thing, the black margin, and I think James will show data later, but I don't disagree with your 15% that he got from black men or black people, whatever the statistic was, but what pushed him over really was the Latino vote. So that's been
went up like 10%, I want to say.
Yeah, double digits.
Yeah, it's been all over the news. To your question about Tim Walz, I think he added something to the ticket. In hindsight, Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania probably would have been a better candidate to ensure that we got Pennsylvania, seeing that we lost it, but we also lost Michigan. We also lost Wisconsin. So I don't know that he would have affected those two other states. I don't think we would have overcome the increase in Latino vote elsewhere. So we might have picked up Pennsylvania if we had Shapiro, but we probably still would have lost the election.
Right. Okay. Again, so wow. Just I want to finish this question. I'm trying to finish this question.
I will say,
go ahead.
Look, I'll answer this real quick. First of all, I and I've had this conversation with my dad plenty of times. Me and my dad, our views aren't always aligned on every single thing. I never really felt, I was living in Athens during the time of when Trump was in office, and I personally never felt any attacks of racism, and I didn't feel concerned for my life personally. I've also been raised in primarily white neighborhoods and white schools my entire life. And I went to a high school that was what you would call redneck and had very Southern people. And even during that time, I had never had any racism towards me. So I am not one that's claiming racism for myself. I will say that probably comes up a lot from that group of people, being Black people, because it happens to us the most. So of course it's going to come up from us as well. But I've also seen it from other demographics as well. Like you have Asian people who also are attacks of racism. You have Hispanic people who are attacks of racism. So of course it's going to come up with minority groups, because a majority group can't be an attack of racism. So that's why that comes up.
I hear that. That's fair. Eric, you got something about Tim Walz adding or not adding to the ticket?
You know what? It's really, really hard to say. And I'm
His
just
voice is moving, but his lips aren't.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
That was good ventriloquism. That's pretty good.
That's funny. You know what? I'm just basing this off of the debate. Really, I think that Vance outperformed him. There was more of a negative image of Vance until the debate, when he actually kind of humanized himself, made himself a little bit more appealing. I don't think Walz really did anything. There wasn't really a lot of interviews. When you saw him, he was always by Kamala's side. He didn't seem to stand on his own, in my opinion. So I do think that hurt her a little bit because he wasn't out there more. So that could have been a swing too. I mean, obviously, I think that Trump was going to get Ohio regardless of whether he was his running mate or not. But it just really didn't move the needle for me.
Interesting.
Can
James?
I say this? I'm sorry, real quick. You know, she only had 107 days to run this campaign, and she's going to lose the popular vote, make the national vote by maybe 4 or 5 million. Like, she ran a damn good campaign. It's kind of, not to take away from your opinion, but it's hard to say that, this person, brought the campaign down or affected it that much. Like, to do this in 3 months or just over 3 months is remarkable. She should be committed to that. And I think it would have gone a different way if she had 6 months or a year.
I think so too. Like I said, a lot of people, it's not that they were voting for Trump, but it was more like they were voting against Biden. And since he wasn't running, she was his running mate. I think that's what happened. I feel comfortable in saying, I don't think we've heard the last from her. I do think that she's going to give it another go.
I don't know.
So I'll say a couple of things. I want to jump in really quick. Sorry, I couldn't get to the chat to say it. I'm not going to sit here and say if she had more time, because the first thing that's will be said is we're making an excuse, right? I do believe in my heart of hearts, and it's going to be unpopular opinion, that I wish that Biden would have never ran. I wish that he would have just called it before, he announced that, and somebody, whether it was Kamala or another candidate, would have had a full primary season and what have you. I wish that. I will say, to Soleil's point, I believe in several people that I talked to, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like I talked to a bunch of people. I'm not saying that at all. But I do believe that she brought some energy to the campaign. I believe the energy was lacking with Biden. The support, I don't feel, was there. We all saw the way he performed in that very first debate, and it was horrible. But she brought some major energy and some hope. Hope. That's a powerful word in a lot of communities. She brought a lot of hope to the campaign, and that was huge. She did a wonderful job in the 107, 110 days, however long it was. She did a wonderful job in that. I don't believe that Walsh hurt her. I don't believe. What I think may have hurt is something I kept hearing the media say was we're not hearing from him. He's not doing the same amount of interviews that Vance was doing. I think that hurt. Unfortunately, last point, I think that's something that also hurt Kamala as well. Because something that was pointed out was for the 3 years that she was in office, she was on the bench. She was behind the scenes. We did not see a lot of her, but we also didn't see a lot of Pence either. So but to that point, I think that kind of hurt her. But I'm not a politician. I don't play one. I ran for treasurer in 7th grade and I lost. That's the only speech I ever gave. So what the hell do I know?
Look, real quick, I just want to say, let's be honest. The biggest thing that hurt her, and everyone's going to skate around it, no one's going to want to say it, you can deny it, it's the fact that it's a woman. Let's be honest. That's the biggest thing that affected it. A lot of people didn't want to vote for a woman, and people are going to skate around that fact, but it's just true.
Trump has only beat women. When he faced a white man, he lost. But he beat Hillary, he beat Kamala. So that's true. That's a fact.
I mean, I'm sure it plays a factor in, but I would hope it's not the main.
Excuse me 1 second. I gotta get something straight again. Derek, Shay Montgomery is my wife. Hold on.
All right.
She's my wife. She's the producer for us, and she also tells us when there's a fan noise. If you look at any comments on any other episode, you'll see that she does delete that. That had nothing about you. The world does not revolve around you, Derek. It doesn't. Newsflash. Sorry. Back the fuck up. Get off the line, please. Get your friend, Patrick. I'm sick of this guy.
Listen, their own people. Just let me know when I'm ready.
You still have a question, Patrick? Because I got one too. I just wanted to.
I do
ask everyone.
I do.
Okay,
but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be valid. Okay, so last one for me, guys, is that 4 years ago for me wasn't great. And I'm not trying to pretend that I understand what anybody who voted for Harris is going through or anything now. But somebody said to me during that time, and this stuck into my head as an analogy about how our country works and maybe how it should work. And it was an analogy about a plane. And it was an analogy about how our president, like him, love him, whoever, voted for him, not voted for him, is the captain or the pilot of the plane. Of a plane that we're all passengers on in this country. 4 years ago, I told that person that I was talking to that I would be a passenger on a plane that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party was a part of. So I guess my last question is that I hope that there's some way to unify. There's some way to say, hey, listen, the sun will come out tomorrow. You don't have to agree with things that he stands for or whatever. I guess my question is, are you able to be, or are you willing to be, do you want to be a passenger on the plane that Donald Trump is piloting? And I guess I'll end with Prince because he has a question. So Soleil, if you wouldn't mind taking that one.
Sure. No, I would not. So with your analogy, you have two wings, right? Under Biden, you had checks and balances, you had guardrails, like he couldn't go off and push through sweeping changes. So with your plane analogy, if one wing goes out, maybe you could still fly the plane and get to your destination, or at least land with the other wing working. Under Trump going forward, he's going to have the House, slim majority, but he's going to have the House. He has the Senate. He has the Supreme Court as well. Like, there's nothing that is going to stop him from pushing anything through. So, no, I don't want to be on that plane. Like, if both.
Well, I mean, again, just being a part of a citizen of the country is the analogy to being on the plane. Is being
what
now? The country. You know, that kind of an idea. Okay, Eric.
I didn't catch that.
I
What
just
did
meant
you say?
being a citizen of the country meant.
I mean, I'm a citizen
analogy
regardless. I am. I'm a citizen. I'm just not going to be in first class like I'm accustomed to.
Okay.
I'll
Eric,
be
what
on-
do you think? Are
I'll be
you
on
willing? Are
standby.
you willing to? Are you willing to be a passenger on the plane? Try to work towards productive things that you can work towards, or like I accepted 4 years ago, or no?
You know what? I really don't feel like I have a choice. The election has already happened, but I guess
Well, you do. You have an opinion. You're worthy of it.
No, I have
You're
an
worthy of it.
opinion, but what I'm saying is, as far as like being a passenger, and here's why I say that: he's going to be the president for the next 4 years. I guess if I had to use an analogy, I guess I'll kind of maybe take Soleil's analogy a little further. It's the equivalent of me being accustomed to flying Delta, and now all of a sudden I have to fly Spirit.
Ooh, I hate Spirit. Okay, I can understand that analogy.
Yeah, if I have
get
to
that
fly and I don't have any other options, every airline is sold out or priced out of my range, and I have to get home. I feel like Donald Trump is Spirit Airlines. I'm not saying that Joe Biden was like Delta or American,
Right.
or even what was that, like the real fast jet that got you to like point A to point B really, really fast. I forgot the name of it. But I'm not saying that Biden was that, but I do feel like that I'm on Soul Plane. Hey, did you see the movie Soul Plane?
I guess. I mean, if I tell the truth, it's just going to confirm any stereotype that
Yeah,
you have about me.
You have it.
No.
You have it. You have it.
Has everybody else seen Soul Plane?
Yeah.
I haven't
Hey, come
actually.
on, guys.
Well, you're half.
See, we've only seen half.
So
I heard it was trash, so I never saw it. I heard it was completely
He's
trash.
only seen half the movie.
So, did you see? Did you see Soul Plane?
Yes, I did.
That is what describes Donald Trump to me. Donald Trump is the soul plane of this conversation.
Yes.
I respect that. I appreciate that. James, again, like it, love it, lump it, whatever. He's the captain of the plane that we're riding. Are you riding the plane? Or are you looking for a Spirit discount?
I got a quick answer and a quick statement to your statement, Patrick. I'm not welcome on that plane. Let's be honest. I'm not welcome on the plane. You know, in my opinion, what did Donald Trump say? And he approved the message. He said Kamala is for they, them. He is for you. In the transgender commercial. So Donald Trump is flat out saying, I'm not everyone's president. I'm not a president for all. He is very divisive. I'm not welcome on that plane. And I'm totally cool with that. I will drive, I will walk, I will catch a cab, call me an Uber, whatever. I'm good with that.
You'll get there.
Kamala, on the other hand, said, I'm going to be a president for everyone. That is someone that's trying to unite, in my opinion. Just my opinion, for whatever that's worth. It is what it is. To
It's
you,
worth a lot.
Patrick, you
It's worth a lot.
said, will we accept it like you accepted it 4 years ago? Here's the key difference. This is a fundamental difference, in my opinion.
Does it have something to do with being white?
I'm going to say, Soleil and I, we have concerns. We have concerns about this president. You did not have concerns about your safety or your family's safety when Biden took office. And if you did, you never shared that with me.
No,
I think that's a
you're
fundamental difference. So,
but it doesn't make my choice
say,
to accept it any less different than yours.
No,
Doesn't
but
make
it's
it any less.
easier. Think about this. So let me ask you a question. Would it be easier for you to live in a very nice, secure neighborhood or in the hood?
Of course.
Of course.
That's an obvious question.
And this is an obvious answer for us as well. It's easier. I didn't say easy, but it's easier, and I would say easy, but it's easier to live in a world or in a country where you're accepted and it's okay. And the person is saying, hey, you didn't vote for me, but I'm still going to be your president. I got you. Opposed to someone saying, no, I don't have you. You know, once again, something we can't relate to. right? We can't.
But see,
we can't
listen, but see, and listen, I know that we go back and forth about the ability of me not being able to relate to things. I understand that, brother. I consider myself an educated person, so I want to do everything that I possibly can to try and understand other perspectives. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're always going to agree or we have the same opinions. I mean, you know how I work and how I operate as far as that's concerned. Prince, go for it, man. Are you gonna ride the plane?
Brother, the plane is in the air. I can't. Only way to get off of it.
Well, that was kind of my point. Are you? Yeah,
that
was kind of my point.
Parachute out. So I don't have a choice in the matter. I'm gonna stick on the plane because the parachute is too expensive to afford to jump off of it. So I guess I'm on the plane. So that's how I feel about it there. So, but like you said, I did have a question I wanted to ask everyone, and my question is so. For me, the biggest concern I have right now for the at least the next 2 years, but next 4 years potentially is, I know it's not finalized yet, but right now the Republicans are leading in the House as well, and I think they're 12 seats away from the majority in the House, and that would give them control of everything. So if they have control of everything, my biggest concerns is where's the checks and balances? Everything that wants to get passed is just going to go straight through. Where are we going to be able to control issues that potentially come up? So that's my biggest concern. And what do you think about that, Patrick? How do we control that at the end? Where's the checks and balances if the Republicans are in power of all offices?
I think that's a fair question, man. I really do. I think this system was set up to have many different layers of checks and balances. I feel like the president, whomever the president is, probably often gets too much credit for things when they go right and too much blame for things when they go wrong. I think that's kind of a fair point. I mean, I'm not discounting the fact that having a red Senate and a red House, I'm not discounting the fact that would make his agenda easier. However, the only pushback that I would have is that that's what almost 73 million people want. So let's give it a shot.
That's fair. What do you think about this? I'll go to Eric. I haven't heard from you in a while. How do you feel about the Republicans having control of everything, even if it's what the people want, if you will, what majority of the people in the country want?
Let's not forget that he also has quite a few people that he appointed on the Supreme Court. So when we're talking about checks and balances, brother, for the next 2 years, at least until the next midterm elections, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of checks and balances. It's going to be what Trump wants Trump gets, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. Now, he said all of the right things in his acceptance speech in terms of wanting to heal the country. Let's just see. You know, everybody is really pushing this economy thing really, really hard. Has anybody looked at the economy in terms of what it was the first 2 years of his office before the pandemic?
Did you look at the last 24 hours?
No, I saw the stock market, but I mean,
it's gone nuts the last 24 hours.
But you know what? If you take a look at the stock market, the week, well, let me see, Tuesday, like every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's always a major swing up or down. But the thing about the economy typically grows between like 2.5% to like 4% every year, with the exception of the pandemic years. So Trump took office in January of 2017. So 2017 and 2019, the economy was progressing the same way that it did in 2024 as far as a percentage raising percentage, excuse me. I think it is right after the pandemic, it almost doubled. It was like over 5%, but naturally the world was shut down. So his first 2 years of his presidency and the last 2 years of his presidency, it was weird. It was weird. I don't think it was really a true indication of his leadership. Usually when a president comes out of office, whatever the previous president set in motion usually takes over that first year. So Obama, whatever it is he did, stimulus checks before he left that just happened to have was issued up under the Trump administration. There's just like a lot of like red flags with this. So I'm praying that Trump does what he says he's going to do. I'm sorry to be long-winded, but I get real frustrated when I hear that he gets all of this credit for being this genius for the economy. But I also don't want to throw the man under the bus if he didn't have certain things that he can control. But he scares me. He really, really scares me.
You know, I don't know if Prince has any follow-ups to that. I did want to follow up and just ask you, Patrick, and I'm really curious to your spin on this one. Is it right that he now has control, that he can make his own felonies disappear? Is it right that the people who participated in January 6th, that he can now pardon them and set them free? Do you have an issue with that?
Well, I mean, I guess I might pull a little playbook out of the Dems book and answer a question with a question.
Of course.
Is it? No.
I mean,
do I feel? I mean, listen, Joe Biden can pardon his son when he's convicted. So I mean, that's the ability of the president to be able to do that. Some would argue that those 34 counts, those felony things were just, let's throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. To this point, none of it has. That's what a pushback to that would be.
It did stick though.
It was convicted. They convicted
34
him.
times.
Correct. In a Democratic county run by a Democratic DA in a democratically run. You're right. By his peers. 100%. I'm not arguing with it. He's a felon. I'm not arguing with that. I'm not arguing. I'm arguing the validity potentially of those counts. Was he convicted? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think obviously 73 million people don't think that that's a big deal. What does that say about our country? The question, Patrick, and please try to throw your political hat out the window here. The question is it right for him to make that disappear? If it's throwing shit at the wall and what stick, then why not let the process take care of it? Why is it that he can't? Because guess what? Any of us get caught doing anything, none of us can make it go away ourselves. So why 100%. Is he able to? And do you have a problem with that? And do you have a problem with the people from January 6th? I'm not asking you, did he incite that? That's a whole other conversation. That's going to be a loaded question for you. I'm not asking that. But for him to get people out of jail, like it's been said that he's going to do you have a problem with that? My question would be, is he the only one that's ever done something like that? Are there other presidents
that matter?
Pardoned people? Well, it does.
Yes.
If one can do it. Hold on. You asked me a question. Let me answer it. You asked a question. Let me answer it. So, do I feel that it's fair for a president to exercise a right that multiple presidents have done in the past? Yes. Do I feel that the right to pardon whomever they want to is plausible, should be done? No. But what I would say to you is, as I would look at the history of what presidents have previously pardoned people, and I would say, well, if these presidents were allowed to do it, then this president is allowed to do it. So that's what I would say on that. So, do I think he should pardon his friends? No, I don't think that that's fair at all, if that's what you're asking me to answer. But what I'm saying to you is, do I think he's within his ability to be able to do such a thing? Yes, because apparently that's what a presidential has the right to do.
I really believe that it should be taken consideration on why they're in jail. And these people totally try to overthrow our government. And for you to, not you, but for the president, and honestly, I guess you too, to say that it's okay for him to say all is forgiven.
Didn't say that. I didn't say it was okay. I didn't say it was.
But if it's okay for him to let them out of jail, then your time served is enough. You've paid your debt to society, and it's going to go away. It's going to be like it never happened. That's a concern.
I just said that he shouldn't. I just said that he shouldn't.
But you said he has the right to, because he's the president.
Does he not? Does he not have the right?
He does, but is that the right decision?
I like to.
Have other presidents before him done the same thing?
Not
come on,
for
man. You
people
can't
who
just.
try to overthrow the government.
It doesn't matter. You can't let one president do it and then another president not. Like, I don't understand.
That's fair. I
I do
have
think we need to,
it's a
to
double
reel this
standard.
one in because we're
I-
at
I
the
have a
speed
quick-
of the hour
I have
now.
a quick point. Sorry, just to piggyback off of where James was going. So, Patrick, you're talking about the will of the people. 73 million people spoke. So, like, that's where America is going. So, if 12 jurors have decided this guy is guilty of something,
Oh
they
yeah,
should
he's a
accept
felon.
that, right?
He's a felon. There's no doubt about it. He's a felon,
And
but I
he
have
should be
every right
sentenced.
to judge the validity of those
Eric,
counts.
get your
I can
life.
do that. I can do that.
Never mind.
Sure.
Shay asked you a question, Patrick, and then go over to you, Eric. I know you have
Do you have
something.
any issue with the final count on these votes, or do you trust the voting process now? I said this from the very beginning. The only way that Trump was going to win was going to be in a complete blowout that made the cheating not matter. That's basically what my point would be, is that it was such a decisive victory that the amount of cheating that apparently could or could not happen, because there's no proof to it. We don't know either way. Does it happen? Probably. Is there a way to prove it? No.
So this election, and this is something I led in the beginning. You think this election was a fair election, or if they did cheat, the Dems cheated. It was too much of a victory.
Oh, I didn't say the Dems. I didn't say specifically that the Dems cheated. I'm sure the Republicans cheated too. I'm sure there's cheating happening everywhere. As you pointed out, there were bomb threats at certain places. Do I think that's right? Absolutely not. But do I think that they were strictly aimed at Democrats? Also not. There's cheating, and that's what I'm saying. I struggle with the fact sometimes that people don't want to agree with what we agree on. Why can't we agree to close loopholes that everybody agrees on that closes the possibilities of this cheating?
Bomb threats doesn't
happen, or it doesn't.
No,
you're 100% right.
That shut
You're
down
100% right.
That shut down the polls.
Look at where those bomb threats happen. What state?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't
but that's not the
Oklahoma.
only. That's
Wasn't
not the
Arkansas.
only source of voter intimidation that goes on, guys. Come on, it's a two-party system that both throw shit at each other. I mean, that's the truth. That is the truth.
Eric, you had a question, or you had a Z?
I love you guys. Prince, you're muted. Prince, help me out, buddy. I'm sinking, buddy. I'm sinking.
James, I've got to ask you to follow up with something on me. How many less votes did Trump get on this election versus last election?
I closed the window because I had too many open, but I want to say it was
like
1.7 or 1.7, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Trump had 14 million fewer votes, or what was that?
No, Kamala had 14 million less than Biden.
Okay. So 15.7 million people less voted. I don't think that there's a lot of cheating that's going on when you see those type of numbers. I just think that the American people were dissatisfied with that. So I'm actually okay with the numbers. If it was like razor thin, yeah, I'd have an issue with it. But that many people decided not to vote for Kamala. I think that that's a large enough margin where we can put the whole cheating thing to bed.
But here's the argument for that.
If it was razor thin, you'd have a problem with it. If it was razor thin, you'd have a problem with it. You just said.
If it was razor thin, I would say we need to look into it further.
But here's the thing about it.
The only way that Trump was going to win was that he was going to blow everybody out and not make it close.
Well,
the problem with that, Eric, though, is and Derek made references before I blocked them. The MAGA supporters, they are saying the only reason why Biden got as many votes as he did is because he cheated. There's no way, his specific statement was, there's no way that he got more votes than the golden child Obama. Derek's words, not mine. So that 81 million is inflated to them, right? That 81 million isn't real, but the 67 is. So once again, and this is the problem I have with people, no matter what side you're on, it does not about politics, it's about the criminal justice system. The system only works when it works in your favor. And that's the problem I have. The referees are doing a great job this year with the Detroit Lions because they're winning. But in years past, refs suck. They got it out for the Lions. The league's got it out for the Lions. That's not cool. We're too one track minded when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I hate that.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up, we were talking about the pardon situation. This is about as close to a civil war as we're going to get. Remember, well, I don't know if you guys remember what happened with the
I hope it doesn't go any further.
It's not.
I hope not either.
I hope it doesn't.
It's not.
The point that I want to make about the whole pardon situation, Abraham Lincoln pardoned half of the country for rising up and to try to overthrow the American government. That's probably the closest that we would ever get to a situation like this, even though the circumstances obviously were different. Abraham Lincoln took a lot of heat, and a lot of people feel that's one of the reasons why he got killed is because he pardoned the South.
So you're saying there's a precedent. Is that what you're saying?
There is a precedent. I hate to say it. I don't know if a lot of people even think about it as far as like the historians, but there is a precedent, like it or not like it. There is a precedent. Secondly, when Richard Nixon was forced to resign and was facing serious jail time, Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon. Gerald Ford was the Speaker of the House at the time because there was no sitting vice president, but that also cost him the election. So there was like a check balancing. The American people displayed their outrage about the fact that Ford was pardoning Nixon, cost him the election because there was no way Jimmy Carter was going to get elected. So
your point is that people have pardoned people in the past.
People have pardoned people in the past.
So Trump pardoning people wouldn't be anything out of the norm.
No, but here's the thing. I believe part of James's question was, and James
James,
correct me if I'm wrong, but was part of your question, should Trump be allowed to pardon himself as well?
Yes, I did ask that. That wasn't an answer, but I did ask that.
Right, and that wasn't lost by me. So no, Trump should not be allowed to pardon himself. Now, if he wants to go ahead and pardon, as fucked up as it is, if he wants to go ahead and pardon all of those folks who had something to do with the January 6th riot, that's his right as president.
All right, now, I'll go with you on that.
Okay, but I also have heard
no arguments.
I've also heard that as soon as Trump is sworn in, that some people are going to launch impeachment proceedings if the Democrats get control of the House. Did you hear that?
Let's waste more money. Let's waste more time. Let's waste more time.
I'm just simply telling you that it's just not going to be as smooth as everybody think. Now, is he going to have the majority in both chambers and in the Supreme Court? Yeah, but if the Democrats get control of the House of Representatives, that's the part of the government that can initiate the impeachment proceedings.
And that's going to be all for nothing. I mean, that's a waste of time.
Nothing in this country
would be. It'll make for entertaining news.
I mean, just for me to go down the history as the only president to be impeached three times.
Listen, this country of government that we're talking about is the greatest experiment in the world. Okay, there are going to be times when I disagree, when you disagree, when we don't think we're on the right track. 67% of the people, or 67 million%, whatever Kamala got, thought we were on the right track. Almost 73% of people thought we weren't on the right track. That is why we have a system the way that we do. When we get too far left, when we get too far right, the system auto corrects itself to end up somewhere back in the middle. And I guess that's how I think it works.
Well, you know what? This is what we've got to roll with, for the next foreseeable future. I agree. I still got major concerns. Hell, maybe Trump will slip on a piece of paper and hit his head, and all of a sudden he will be, this guy that was like, oh, you know what, I've seen the airman.
He's already survived 2 assassination attempts, so a slip on a banana peel might get him.
Yeah,
might get him. Slip on a banana peel. Fake news.
Fake news, yeah. Fake news.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. That's the damnedest thing that I've ever heard about fake news. How in the hell is it fake news when you have multiple outlets that are reporting the same thing? You got people that were in your inner circle, and when I say your, I mean the president in his inner circle, saying that this dude is unhinged. This dude said this, he said that, he did this, he did that. I mean, come on, man. I mean, is everything fake news? This is a
No,
man.
not everything. Not
This
everything.
this is a person.
Just the stuff you don't agree with.
No, that's not true.
Not at all.
That's definitely not true.
Come on, we're laughing. Come on.
I'm not.
I get that. I get that a lot.
I mean,
I get that a lot from you guys. I get that a lot. Oh, it's rigged
Yeah.
if you win. It's not if you lose. I get that a lot.
Hey, look,
AR-15 is not going to go pierce someone's ear and then it be healed, by what, the RNC?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not going to happen. I mean, it's not.
hey,
I'm sorry, it's not.
I mean, there was a dead body on the roof. So
oh,
Yeah, they shot him. Like,
right. Come on, Patrick. Come on, man. But
And the second attempt, the guy never got a
hold on.
shot.
Time out. Do you guys legitimately think that the assassination attempt wasn't real? Like, you legitimately think that?
We're not saying that.
I do. I'm saying. I don't
That's
believe
what
that.
James is saying.
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I don't believe
Hey,
it.
listen.
I don't.
I would like to hear that. I mean, can you tell me? I'm interested. Honest to God, I'm interested.
Was that the person's intent? Maybe. Did he really take the shot at Trump? Maybe. Did he miss? Yes. I don't think Trump got shot at all. Because once again, if you get shot in your ear, how did it heal so fast? There's no scar whatsoever. This is an old man. How did it heal that fast? That just does not make any kind of sense whatsoever. I cannot argue if that young man was intending to shoot Trump or not. I can't. Was he planning? Possibly. Conspiracy theory. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. But I just don't believe that Trump was shot. Was he shot at? I can't dispute that. But I do know this. Trump said it hurt him so bad that he couldn't run on it. But in so many campaign ads, we saw this. Fight, fight, fight. We saw that picture. He sure in the hell ran on it, didn't he? But it hurt him so bad he couldn't. And then the second time, we haven't had an attempt on a president since 1980. Eric helped me out here. Ronald Reagan, 80-something. You was around.
That's scary.
We haven't had an attempt. But also we had two over the summer on the same person. Yeah,
I mean,
not
I think
buying
that's
it.
a failure of the people around him too. How could anybody even get close to him? I mean, come on.
No, I'm just not buying it. One thing I want to say though, Princeton said we're kind of chasing our tails and we're making the same points over and over again, so I kind of agree with him. But one thing I want to say, just following up on the insurrection, when people was marching in 2020 and protesting, Trump called us thugs, but he's going to potentially. He called people that was marching. He called people that was marching and people that was looting. He called them thugs. And I say us because I was out there marching as well. I never thought I'll see myself have to march in 2020 for equal rights, but I did. I thought that was like back in the 50s and 60s, but in 2020 I was there. But we were thugs.
You was just happy to get outside because of
no, that wasn't the case. But we were thugs. We were thugs in 2020. But in the insurrection, they were patriots, and they're getting ready to be potentially pardoned. I got a serious problem with that.
I can understand. I mean, listen.
But I'm sure there's a spin on it, right? I'm sure it's a spin on it. So
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, James.
Well,
I mean, my opinion is different than
right?
yours. Doesn't mean I'm spinning the truth. It just means I think differently than you.
Yeah, they were good people. Yeah, they were good people. They were good patriots, and they were
propaganda people. Propaganda. See through that shit.
What is going to see through? I saw them climb through the windows. I saw them.
No, I'm saying both people on both people on both sides comment. The both people on. That's not what he said. I mean, I read the script.
Good people on both sides.
He said
not what he said. It's not what he said. It's not what he said.
Was the other.
Let's look up the script because it's not what he said.
There was the other civil unrest that there were good people on both sides.
Yeah.
So do we? Anybody have any other points to make, or are we going to head into our this?
No, I appreciate you guys. Agree to disagree. I love each and every one of you guys. I appreciate it. Mad respect to everybody. But I mean, again, we are where we are as a country. I hope that we can somehow find a way to get together in some way. I do truly mean that. I respect each of your opinions. I know that it's not the same as mine in a lot of ways, but I do truly mean that. I do truly mean that. So I don't want to portray at any point in this conversation that I'm bitter or sour or upset with any of you. I do. I have a lot of respect for this conversation because it's hard. That's all I got.
I've got one quick thing to say. Hey, James, you want to rock, paper, scissors about Nick's spare room down over in Columbia?
No.
Say we're laughing. We're laughing.
Are we done?
Are we good? Did you make any picks this week, Sway?
No, let's end it.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty
I'll
late into
resume
it, so
next
we can just end it and get on out of here. I'll go ahead and wrap us up. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone. Did you have anything to add, sir?
Yeah, we had a couple things. Soleil, are you doing your sexy picks?
No, I just said let's wrap it up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear. I was listening to Trump's comments so I can post and where he said there was fine people, not good people. There were fine people on both sides.
Okay. So Patrick was right.
Yeah, so
let's look it up.
Let's
look it up. I'll look it up too. We'll look it up.
I'm gonna listen to it, make sure to get the exact part and post it up for everyone. But just real quick, this day in history, Eric mentioned Abraham Lincoln in 1860. On today, he was elected president, and on this day in 1995, Art Modell moved the Cleveland Browns to Baltimore, sending the dog pound in a complete uproar, and they haven't been the same since.
That bastard.
People in Cleveland hate him.
Princeton, you're up, sir.
All right, I'll make this quick. I won't get into too long of it, but I'll do this. Go through the spitballing. This week, all I got for is what is with people and being so resolute with choosing the team that they were born into the state of. I personally don't get it. I think when it comes to sports, that just because you were born in Michigan or just because you were born in Georgia, you have to go with that team. Doesn't make any sense to me. If that were the case, then I'd have to cheer for the Detroit Pistons my whole life, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I'm just saying, just because you were born somewhere, it doesn't mean you can't choose another team. I say go with your favorite player. Go with your favorite player. Get on different teams. This whole bandwagon thing. No, get on the bandwagon. If there's a team you like, go ahead and switch it up. You don't have to be imprisoned by where you were born. You can't control that. You can't control that. So you can't force me to root for the Pistons. I'm just saying it.
This is why the young generation is so soft. They just jump to another team.
Yeah,
the Pistons beat the Lakers the other night.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm a Warriors fan.
Fair weather fan.
Very, very fair.
Like tissue.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I thought we weren't supposed to really voice an opinion on the spitballing topic, right?
Yeah.
I thought that.
Yeah, exactly. So my opinion is.
Bye, everyone.
Take it easy, everybody.